should have its own army. The European Union must have a bigger and stronger army. Instead of having smaller individual armies, we could compete with big armies such as China or Russia. If a member state is attacked, the European Union army could defend the attacked nation. During the debate, the second speaker, Marta, will talk about the benefits of an army. For an example, the army could result in a better European collaboration. The third speaker, John, will talk about economical and social facts. The fact of paying for an army at the end is way cheaper and efficient than paying for all national armies. Thanks for the attention.
Well, first of all, good morning everyone. My name is Andrea and I'm the first speaker of my team. We are going to give you some arguments against the creation of an European common army. I have to start saying that it's not necessary to resort to use weapons. You have to think that it would be very difficult to reach a compromise between 27 countries. With different interests, different objectives, and different resources. And besides, it would take a lot of time to create this army. If a country is being attacked, it would have the support of the NATO too. It would also need to invest huge amounts of money to create this army. And this could cost the decrease of other sectors, like education, for example. Therefore, we believe that it's not necessary to have an European common army because the European Union could take part in a pacific way with diplomacy and without a common army. Now, I will let the second speaker talk about the danger of using weapons and the waste amount of money that you will need. Then the third one will refuse your first argument, saying that the proposals of this project are not the correct ones. And finally, we will end with a final conclusion. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Marta, and I'm going to say some benefits that have the creation of a common army in Europe. It would be better. It would be better for all Europe because we could have a better answer for all the problems that cause the countries in Europe and out of Europe. We will be like an only continent, and we will attack other countries, like it's the best moment because the UK wants to leave the European Union, and they don't want this problem, this European army. So if they leave, we can do it better. Also, it will support by Germany, Italy, Spain, France, and most of the countries. So it will be excellent. There are many attacks. There will be many attacks. For example, from Trump because of the government. The North Korea too, and the Islamic States. They are a big problem. So if we act like an only army, efficient and most faster. It's better to have an agreement between one army than of 28 countries. And it has economic and political benefits with the USA, China, and other powerful countries that are out of Europe too. And you say that the NATO wouldn't help us, but we are a lot of countries, so we don't have the necessity of using the support of the NATO. It isn't necessary, and that's all. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Fabiola, and my team and I believe that the European Union shouldn't have its own army. I'm here because I disagree with my opposite team. Because peace, we all know very well that we want peace, but peace cannot be created with armies, and because the weapons are mortal. All kinds of weapons are mortal, no matter what. And having an army will mean increasing arms sales, so this will lead to freer sales of weapons, as in America, and an army is not necessary. It will be something which encourages war, and that's not the way to be peace with all us. The only way to defend us as much as possible is avoid the war in every way, starting from the army. So, also by having an army, too much money would be wasted. That's another point. All weapons, all the machines, you should pay them. And in the most of the countries in Europe, there's a crisis. So all this money, people should pay for the division, for the machine, for the weapons. So we have been without an army until this moment. Why we have to change? There are already people who protect us, so we don't need more. Also, another point is that the EU, this army will increase, yes?
Who protects us?
The people who protect us. There are police, so if military, if you have any doubt, you can call and they will come to you, you know. So I'm saying that everyone will know about this because this army will increase military competition and in the other country, of course. And everyone will know about it. Have you any idea? In the internet, on the TV, on the radio, it will be everywhere. And the use of power will lead other countries to try to destroy us. And we will not be sure to get out alive from this. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, members of the jury. My name is Jesu, and today I'm going to talk about the economic facts and the social ones. About the social facts, we know that unified army is very expensive, but we think that all the money is worth spending if it is for this cause. When we think about the army, our mind goes back to the old time and the old-fashioned wars. But nowadays, this has changed. We've got new technology and high-tech systems, And in this way, we can create a modern army. This army also will create two types of protection. The first one is the real one that protects us about for the terrorism, and the second one is a sentimental protection that protects us from. You are more secure. The people are more secure. For example, we know the people tend to go to other countries, but if these countries
and who would decide, a leadership or a central group?
Can you repeat?
Who would decide?
What decide?
And when they have to go out with the army?
I don't understand this. With this security is sentimental security. Now, Andrea said at the introduction that it's very difficult to create a new army at the same time with the 27 countries. But if you remember, when the European Union started, only 50 countries joined. And after that, countries think, oh, it's a good idea, so we will join it. With unified army will be the same. 5 countries start, and all the countries around, we think, oh, it's a good idea, so let's join. Yes?
But you say it's a unified army that we need, but isn't NATO a unified army? Because isn't NATO the unified NATO? NATO the unified army for us?
No, I don't think so. Nowadays, I think that it's a good idea to create a unified army, but only in Europe. Okay? So that's it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anne-Sophie, and today I'm going to present the next argument about this subject. We all know that an army is used in war or for protection against someone or something, but in this case it would be used without a reasonable purpose. And as well, we have to be very careful in creating an army because it could send the wrong message. For example, if we go back in time to the First World War, we can see that as the Germans started to create their own army and grow militarily, the other ones started to panic and to have fear, and this was one of the causes of the First World War. So we have to consider the possibility that history could repeat itself, and this could happen again. As well, we have used the war to get where we are now, but this is our past. So if we use the same methods that we did back then, this would mean that we haven't evolved at all. And this is something we don't want, because we want a future of creation and development and evolution. And so a war is not in our future plans for us. And we have, for example, Costa Rica and Iceland, that are countries that have no army and that live in peace. Instead, we think that all the money that is used for this army should be invested in education. In education, because through this education we should spread the new ideals, because nowadays there isn't a healthy competition between all the countries, and we can explain this competition through an example. So, if you imagine 2 children, and one of them gets a toy, the other one automatically wants a toy as well, or even worse, he wants the toy that he has. And this is a problem that happens nowadays, because all countries want to be better than the other ones, and not for themselves. And we think that through this new ideals, we want to, we would change this competition and there wouldn't be as much conflicts that there are now. So an army wouldn't be needed because we wouldn't have conflicts between us. Well, we think that maybe this army, because of this unhealthy competition to be better than other ones, would be the wrong reason to do it. More than if we want to do this army, it should be because of reasons for ourselves and not to be better than other ones. This is everything. Thank you very much.
Now I want to summarize what my team, so the opposition, said. First of all, there has been mentioned that peace can't be made through weapons. So if we start building our own army, for example, it won't help us to stay in peace like now. It will increase that everybody wants to have his own army because then they want to be on the same level or even better than the opponent, for example. And today we have a kind of crisis because, for example, we see it nowadays in America and, for example, North Korea. They want to show who's the strong one. So Trump is saying, if you do that again, we are going to make the same but even worse. And then Kim Jong-un says, okay, let's do this. I also have power and let's give them what they really deserve. So, I mean, it's kind of the same if we start to make our own big army, for example, because it only gives to the other countries or to the other continents that we want to be better, and even if there is going to be a war, we are going to defeat them. And so it means that they also start to make a conflict out of these two, out of building up the war, for example. The next thing that we said is that the resources that these build up would mean for us, for example, the money can definitely be used in a very, very more intelligent way than putting them into weapons or have new tanks, for example. They can be for your education, for the education or the common economical society could be a very, very important thing, because then, for example, there can be subsidized for example, poor families can be subsidized with more money, so they can get, the children can get a better education, for example. And then there was the point where I think that's undeniable. We have the NATO, which means if there would be a war, we have something we can keep our minds at. So we know that if there is a war, we have somebody who helps us, and that's the NATO. So why should we make a new or even bigger army than the NATO? Because it makes no sense for us, for the opposition. And the only thing I really want to keep for the government in mind is if we, the opposition, or even if the government says now we're going to make this thing, so if we're going to make an own army and there is going to be war, you're the ones that are going to blame. Thank you.
So what I want to do now is give a conclusion of our points, but before, I want to talk about some of your points. You spoke about NATO. Donald Trump just recently went out of the Paris climate conference, and I think that with people like Trump and other countries rising with nationalistic leaders, we cannot be cannot be safe without something on our own, because America, I don't know if they would still help us if there was a crisis. You talk about Costa Rica and Iceland don't have their own army and they live in peace. Well, if you were America, would you attack Costa Rica and Iceland? I wouldn't. And you also talk about that that a European army wouldn't be reasonable. Well, I want to give an example. Let's take a look at the Austrian army, the Austrian military. Sometimes I feel like the Austrian military isn't even able to defend itself, and especially not in an international conflict. So this is what I think that we need. And now I want to summarize some of our points. We talked about that the cost is definitely worth it, because it's not just an army doesn't just mean protection for us, but also a lot of work, because if we send 5,000 people, let's say, from every state to, then there would be 5,000 more people unemployed. We're definitely not in historic ages anymore, so with the technological advancements, we would be able to have a much stronger and better army than it could have ever been, which could be specialized in security, emergencies, and international cooperation, for example. If we talk about an army, we should also consider the general aspect of protection. Because protection, so an army wouldn't just mean, as I already said, protection, but also the safe feel. Don't you feel safe at home? Yes, I think it's very sentimental. This is just not, this couldn't be arguable. And we also talk about now that the EU with the UK with the upcoming Brexit, they were not the only ones, but they were a major opposition for a European army, and now they're exiting the EU. There would be nothing in our way, I think, and we would definitely have a much faster response, because we wouldn't have to ask every single of the 27 or then 26 states for how many can you send and stuff like that.